I picked up the phone on the third ring. It was her, of course. I had to tell her to calm down. She was talking too damn fast. I sat back in my chair, took a drag off my cigarette, and listened to a familiar story. Her husband was on a rampage. Him and his henchmen were going to be making a play, a real big play. He had the backing from some key mobsters. A lot of people were going to die. And I, of course, was on top of that list. He knew my debts were piling up like a skyscraper above that dark, gritty city. More worrisome was the fact he also knew I was not only hired to dig up dirt on him by his wife, but also sleeping with her. It was getting to be a little too much to handle. We planned to meet downtown in a half hour. I grabbed my coat and hit the road, driving around aimlessly, trying to figure out a plan to escape the clutches of her crazed mafia husband. I decided, after talking to her, I'd go pay a visit to my bookie and see what he had heard. That scumbucket, I knew I couldn't trust him, but for now, he was all I had. I drove until I found a suitable spot to pull over on an abandoned street and park my car. I decided I'd walk over to meet her. It would be easier that way to make sure I wasn't being tailed. I was behind on paying him and had been feeling the heat at every corner. It was only a matter of time before things got out of control. As usual, my gun was loaded and ready. I started down an abandoned alleyway, stepped against the wall, lit a cigarette, and then looked over at a street lamp, and there she was, beautiful as ever. She was trying to act like she was keeping her cool, but one look at her smeared mascara and pale coloring, I knew she was scared shitless just like me. There was no time for fancy poetry. I pulled her close and planted a big kiss on her, letting her know I was going to take care of the situation. She started crying uncontrollably. I told her to cool it. Hadn't I always taken care of her so far? I told her to go grab some clothes and her makeup kit and wait for me at my apartment. She had a spare key for it. I told her to not answer the door, no matter what. I had to run a few errands, and that I'd be back soon. Everything would be okay, and we'd be together forever. And we would be together. I just wasn't sure how many goons I'd have to plug full of little tiny holes for that to happen. Once I got to the horse races, I decided to lay low for a little bit, check out the action. Then I noticed a familiar face, one I was none too keen on seeing. He was a knuckle-breaker for my bookie, and he'd seen me. Shit. And my horse was pulling away. There they were, coming down the home stretch, neck and neck. Come on, damn it, I wanted to scream. Run it out! I had $500 riding on this race. To my surmise, the horse lost. Number 9, my lucky number. I quickly composed myself and made the leave, yet was intercepted by a cigar-toting henchman. He worked for her husband. His specialty actually was cracking skulls. He requested the money I owed and hinted at darker conspiracies. He mumbled something about misguided dames not being worth a bullet, and that I made a big mistake. Then, as if in slow motion, I saw him reach for a gun, and I pulled mine quicker. Simply put, I took the money, made sure he was dead, and then got the hell out of the racetrack as fast as I could. Something about what that thug said gave me an ominous feeling. I put the pedal to the metal. The city was going by in a blur. There was 1,000 thoughts in my mind, but the central one was her. Retraced the Rolodex of my memory as far back as I could, trying to remember any slip-ups. I hit the steering wheel. Damn, I thought we had planned this out perfectly. I pulled up to where I was staying and parked the car. I burst into that sardine box of a room, praying for her pretty smile to be in there waiting for me. Yet the place was cold, empty, and devoid, save for the low glow of the TV late-night gloom. And then, suddenly, I turned and the phone rang.